Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Poikinen. I am here in locked down Boulder Creek, California. I am very, very excited today to basically have like a half-ass reunion of one of the events that we held while we went to Washington, D.C. during the first week of Julian Assange's extradition hearing. I am joined once again by Ian Schlackman, who is running the ones and twos for the just incredible Reverend Annie Chambers. And we got Kendra from Denver Action for Assange. This is going to be awesome. Annie Chambers, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. I'm in good health now.
That's excellent. We were, you were supposed to be on a couple of weeks ago before this whole mess started. And you wound up taking a trip to the hospital, so I'm glad you're.
Yeah, doing better. I had pneumonia, but I'm doing much better now.
Oh, I think Steve's muted.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm muted. Neat.
There you go.
I met you because you were kind enough to come down with People's Power Assembly to the event that we held outside of Chelsea Manning and Jeremy Hammond's jail.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, immediately, well, not immediately, but within a couple of weeks after we left, not only has Chelsea Manning been freed, Jeremy Hammond is also out of that particular detention center and is now able to finish out the rest of his sentence in minimum security. I think that some of that may have to do to the fact that we were blowing the world's loudest and most annoying whistles, but I can't say for sure. Tell me a little bit about People's Power Assembly and how that came to be formed, and a little bit about your background in activism from when you started to now.
Well, when I first started to I'm involved in the movement, I was 14 years old. I'm now 78 years old, and all through the civil rights movement, welfare rights movement, and I'm a Black Panther, and I'm continued to be in the fight and in the struggle. I'm now a delegate on the board for the residents of public housing in Baltimore City. I'm the vice president of the National Welfare Rights Organization. We just formed another welfare chapter called Welfare Warriors Union, and it's a continual battle. The battle continues because just when you think you made 2 steps forward, they pull you back 3. So we continue to fight. Things have continued to get worse. And I must say this though, with this corona, this is the worst I've ever seen it for people. And I'm talking about poor people and working class people. This is really frightening for me because even back in the early 60s and late 50s, and we seen poverty and we seen people struggling, but now people seem this time around to feel that they have no hope. And I'm afraid of what will turn out of this, because the federal government has not addressed the needs of the masses of people. I feel that what they are doing is picking a certain class, and that's what we are in. We've been in a class struggle ever since the late 90s, I would say, middle 90s. it's been really a big push class struggle along with poverty and racism. And so that's what we're seeing now with this new thing that's out here now. Um, Masses and many people will die. I'm afraid more people will die with corona than people did with the plague or any other virus or, that we have had.
Well, we're seeing a kind of two-front assault under the guise of, or at least under the specter of the coronavirus, because there's a direct assault on people who have limited means in terms of their ability to get health care, their ability to even have access to available to test kits. But at the same time, there's a direct result on our civil liberties, on our civil rights, on our human rights, and it's all under the guise of keeping us safe. The Justice Department is seeking emergency powers, and you know probably better than most of the people watching that when emergency powers are granted, they are seldom, if ever, rescinded after whatever emergency or crisis is over. I agree with you completely that the class war has been ratcheted up since the 90s. And in my opinion, it has a lot to do with what happened in the 60s when Dr. King started talking about needing a radical redistribution of economic power. That's when they shot him. When Malcolm X started talking about this is not a black thing or a white thing or an African thing or a Muslim thing, this is a human struggle based on class, they shot him. Your brother had an instrumental role to play in Malcolm X's movement. I don't know if you want to get into that too much.
Oh yes,
but
James played a big part in the movement. He was Minister Malcolm's first lieutenant, and he stayed, you know, he was there with him. But he have always, he used to say to us all the time, actually, I thought of that last night. He said, it's going to come a time when they can't play the racism game as much as they are playing now. But you understand that there will be a class struggle race game played, and we used to have long talks because even though I come from a very large family, and I do mean large, my father had 28 children. He was the father of 28 children, but I was the youngest girl, and my brother James were the oldest son he had. So we bonded because it was always his thing to take care of his little baby sister. Lo and behold, out of all the rest of the family, I was the only one that went out to the movement, and I followed him out to the movement. And we were in the struggle together. So we often had long conversations. We, you know, sometimes, you know, we would even be in the movement, and he would explain, because, you know, I went into the movement angry. Truthfully, I went into the movement angry, saying that people all, you know, I had this thing as a nationalist, as a black nationalist, because I was a child, and I'd had the experience of being raped, and the father of my very first child is a white man, and I had a lot of anger in my body and a lot of anger in me. But my brother helped me see through that, and helped me understand what, you know, what had happened to me. And so my brother's the only person, only male in my family I think I ever told it to, who really attacked me. And it was many years later. I didn't tell him right away. My daughter was, when by the time James died, my oldest daughter was like, what, 13 years old. Sweet thing was 13. And I told him what had happened. He said, I know something happened, but I didn't really know who did it. And finally, I confessed it to him, but never to my father or any other male in my family had I confessed it. And so he helped me a lot see the anger in me and what was wrong with me. Wasn't wrong, but my thinking. And then I was blessed to meet other males that has really guided my life a lot, of mostly males. And my priest, Barbara Witchland, who was a white priest, um, he's going on. My professor, one of my very first professors, Dr. Michael Brand, who I call my brother. Everybody thought we were brothers and sisters. We were together. And, I seen the nationalists, that was really the crazy thinking that I tell even nationalists now, And Minister Malcolm, you know what he said to me? He said, sister, little sister, he used to call me. He said, little sister, you know why you oppress? Nobody's oppressing you. You're a female. Nobody's oppressing you because you're being oppressed because you're poor, and because of the class struggle and poverty, and racism is ignorance. And I got to learn that also, because one day I'll tell y'all this story about I had to work with the Ku Klux Klans to get what we needed, which was, I had stuff. Till the day my children, my daughter got the picture of me and the Grand Dragon standing together in Las Vegas fighting for checks.
Yo.
Fighting for social service, for welfare checks, right? Mm-hmm. But she said, how did you do it? But see, I learned ignorance can fester a lot of things. And so my thing is, and I teach it, and I refuse to let any child feel that because of your skin color or because of who you are, you being oppressed because of capitalism in this country. That's what you mean, and racism is ignorance, because if you get to know the person, children don't know racism. When my children were raised up, they were blessed because I was in the movement. They would have all kinds of children would be together. All our children, we throw them all together in one place, and they had the children really. The big children had to take care of the little children because we were out in the struggle, and so they don't know anything about racism and all of that kind of stuff. That is a thing that that the rich will use to continue to press. And when we talk about class, I even tell upper class blacks, I carry a Merle. I used to carry a Merle around in my pocket, and every time they would I open the Merle up and show them, and say, look at yourself, look at who you are. You're no different from, because racism is a thing that I experience as a black person from black people.
Yeah.
I experienced that from black people, because if you were, the darker you were, in where I come, used to be in Virginia, Richmond, even in the school system, the closer to the back you sat. And you were all black children in a school, but that's the way they treated us. And then you had black people that, thought they were much, that they were different because they were lighter. And I come from a family that was mixed with light people and dark people, and and so I know what it is, racism period. And so, you know, we it is good that we have moved away from a lot of that, but I see it creeping back in because of poverty and the problems that we have. I see this, see, because they will use that. It was just like, you know, we talk about poverty and all the things and these tests for corona and people. And the lady asked the president, one of the news reporters, well, if we don't have that many, how can a whole football team get tested? How can a whole basketball team get tested if we don't have that many tests? But then you got sick, poor people out here, or people, you know, other people who can't get the test. So, you know, right now, what I sat here talking to you, across the street from me, I can't go in the hospital because they got the National Guard. They are standing poor people on the outside, no matter what is wrong with you. I was just fortunate enough for it hit to be able to be carried to the hospital in the ambulance, because now all the emergencies they're sending down to another hospital which is overrun, who done set up a tent, who got patients that need to be inside on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you a question, because I'm not entirely sure if people flooding a hospital is because they have coronavirus or if they're driven by the fear that they may have a coronavirus, and that's going to cause kind of like a loggerhead in terms of medical professionals being able to do what they're supposed to do. Do you think that
any people that get a little cough or a fever now, where you used to just buy you some cough syrup, especially poor people, or get you some rum, or, you know, get you a little gin and put you some sugar in it. Come on, drink you some ginger. The people used to do that. That's what we do. You know, these are remedies that we do. And now people, you get a little cough, you know, oh Lord, I got to go to hospital. I got to seek it out. Yes, people are crap because they are scared. They have put a lot of fear in people. You know, I just had one of my family members, one of my children call me and say, I got this cough. I said, do you know what time of year it is? You get allergies every year. You've been getting them from the day you were born. You was a little baby, I treated you. So then she go, well, I'm going to the drugstore, get this. I said, go get you some ginger. Go get you some gin. Boil your ginger, gin and lemon like you've been doing since, you know. That's what I used to give you, and sugar. Drink it and go on, you know. But these are the things that's happening. People are scared. But then too, you got people that's got heart conditions and diabetes and all the other stuff who can't get in the hospital, who can't literally get in the hospital. Mercy got tents up. Mercy Hospital is about the only somebody really doing a whole lot of treatment to the poor right now, which is, you know, but they had to put tents up. John Hopkins got tents up just for the employees.
Jesus.
They got tents up.
And Johns Hopkins saw it coming because they put on the simulated exercise event 201 44 days before coronavirus was announced that it was on the shores of the U.S. I guess it's a testament to arrogance that they didn't think they had to put it up.
Yeah, they knew it. When I got sick right in this house and couldn't, you know, I had asthma. I'm an asthmatic, but because I had picked up the pneumonia, and I was begging them not to carry me to John Hopkins. You know, my thing was, please don't carry me to John Hopkins, because but I passed out. When I woke up, I was in John Hopkins. and the first thing they said, we gonna take good care of you. Now I prayed. I'm a minister, and I'm telling y'all, I prayed the whole time I was there. Now I must say they did, and they kept me there, but they said, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna take good care of you. And the thing was, they wanted to show me that they would take good care of me. But then my neighbor who is on dialysis, she got sick, and they told the ambulance that they couldn't take her down to Mercy. And she, she's a diabetic. She on dialysis and everything. They wouldn't take her, but they did take me. So again, but I'm the person that's pushing this suit against John Hopkins. That's the main thing. Is so that they know that, and they let me know they knew who I was. They made no, they let me know. Oh, you Reverend Chambers, and yeah, we know who you are, and we're going to take good care of you. The nurses, God bless the nurses at Hopkins, because they stayed watch over me. But that's another story, because I'm fighting with them too to try to get a union. Because would you believe a big hospital like that won't allow their nurses to unionize?
So of course. We found out that progressive news media outlet, the Young Turks, won't let their staff unionize. If Cenk Uygur is going to be a union busting boss, no way the board at Johns Hopkins is going to let something like a union interfere with their ability to make profit.
Yeah. So, and I just got the bill from them. I fell out late. They can wait for that.
I can't even imagine what a bill from Johns Hopkins looks like.
$25,000. But they'll wait that.
$25,000?
Yeah, I got it here. $25,000. Hope I don't have to go back there. But those are the. So see again, we in a class struggle. And the fight is, as I just explained to Ian, I'm fighting to get food for people for tomorrow. Each day is a battle, because in public housing, they want to shut it down. They don't want people to even come out. But they have not provided anything. So how do the people eat? We got children, we got infants who their mothers can't even get their formula. And the stores have gone crazy, price gouging. A dozen of eggs, where it used to cost you, the small eggs would cost you like $1.70 or 80, is now $8, $6, $5 is the cheapest I found. But then the main stores like Food Depot eggs is $12 and $13 a dozen. We talking about a dozen of eggs, and then so if this keep up, if this continues to happen, people are not going to go hungry. We the most, that's how I got to work with the Klan, because the people down in Vegas was hungry because the governor had cut off all the checks in Nevada. And when we went there, we said, welfare rights, we went there, we said, you must get these people these checks. And the Klan was over there organizing. And so I went to them, and said, look, we want the same thing right now. We may kill each other later, but right now we want people to get their benefits. And we closed down the Strip. Every casino, we allowed children to run through. We went to the markets. We closed all the stores. We would shop. We call it a shopping. We get baskets of food and all kinds of stuff and push it out and tell them charge it to the governor. They lock up one group. The jails got so full they didn't have no room. They put some of us out again. But that's the way, and people will go further than that now. People will go further. People will take what they need. I'm an old woman, but I refuse to see myself starve to death.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
You know,
and
I
one of
refuse
the
to see myself starve to death. So people gonna start moving out. They have not sent any relief to any of the public housing. And then they had nerve to say that they didn't want any food trucks in the public housing. And I said, the hell with it. We're gonna get some food. If people wanted to give us some, they were saying, I said, we will get the food. We'll put it in the public housing, we pay the rent, and we'll deal with y'all later. So whatever they want to do later is what I'll deal with. But right now I'm getting food and water and toiletries and cleaning materials and anything else I can for people.
Yeah, I haven't seen paper towels or toilet paper on the shelves in 5 different grocery stores in 3, almost 4 weeks now.
Yeah.
And look, people aren't as stupid as they act, you know. People know that their toiletries are going to come to a warehouse before they get loaded onto a truck. People are eventually going to start with their phones Google mapping where that warehouse is, and they're going to show up to meet the initial delivery, and people are going to get what they need. And if the repercussions are off in the future, then they're off in the future, because the immediate needs of the people need to be met. I'm out here in Santa Cruz County, California, and my son's elementary school is still doing a school lunch program. They're still doing actually they aren't even trying to mask that they've been inspired by Huey Newton and the Black Panthers in terms of making sure that children get fed every day. I think that was one of the scarier aspects of what the Panthers did in terms of how the establishment saw it. Because if you've got a full belly, then you can look around and see what else you're hungry for.
Right. And that was the Black Panthers was built up on the emphasis first respect, and that we provide and for our people and take care of our people. And what we did, we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner programs. We had educational schools to educate our children. We also did not allow our people to get evicted. We had, other support systems for our people to teach them pride within themselves so that they could see. That was what the party was about. It never was to attack the government. That was never what we were about. We were about taking care of ourselves, but we were not going to allow the government to attack us either. And so that is still the Black Panthers, the true Panthers that are left. The true ones of us that are left are continue to, that's what we are doing now. We are saying that we must take care of our people.
My grandfather would have been 101 this year. He passed away about 15 years ago. He was a minister, and his entire wall in his office was him with the Black Panthers as like the token white guy, But when I was growing up, he would tell me, he was like, look, they tried to demonize an entire community because it was more convenient than addressing the root problem. So as you go through life, make sure you understand what the root problem is so that you don't demonize an entire community. And he was also like, when I would start to question him about religion, he took me to the library. We checked out every religion's book, and he was like, here you go, read them all. let me know if you can find much difference, and then get back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And that's what I, tell young people now, and that's what I tell everybody, because these ministers now, I tell them all the time. And when they said, when I got ordained, they offered me three positions in the church, but I knew that that was not what I was ordained to do, and I said it to my bishop. I said, no, bishop, that's not what I'm supposed to do. I got, my ordained is to minister and do tree minister. I'm not for Sunday morning disco. I don't play Sunday morning disco. I'm out in the masses. I must go out like Jesus did. Jesus never held disco services. Jesus talked to the masses in the fields. Jesus talked to the masses, and even when he went in the synagogue, he made sure that he carried the true word with him. I can't sugarcoat it. I can't. I was talking to a rabbi at the Poor People's Campaign, and we had words, and I said, Rabbi, the same thing you are reading to me is what's in my book also. It's the same thing in my book. I talked to an imam who said to me, listen, you're a woman, sister. I love you, but you can't teach the word. I said, no, that's because you ain't doing the right thing. You leading the brothers in the wrong direction. We here in this prison talking to brothers, but you leading them in the wrong direction. No, I can't tell you how to be a strong black man, but I can tell you how to be a strong, good man and a Christian man. See, so Christianity, has been used in many, many ways to oppress people, But Christianity, when you learn it and read it for yourself, because as a minister's daughter, I hate ministers. I used to hate ministers. That was the last thing I wanted to be. I used to say to my brother James, Daddy just gets on me. Him and all them old preachers get on my nerves because I seen one side. But once I got ordained and know what a minister's supposed to do, and if you're a follower of Jesus, what Christianity really does, then you're doing the right thing. When you can feed the sick, go to the homeless, go into the prisons, and always be able to lift your brother and sister up. See, these are things Jesus did, and he didn't charge money for it, by the way. He didn't get paid, you see. He didn't drive a big Mercedes. He didn't drive a Cadillac. People keep saying to me, is you in love with poverty? I said, no, I ain't in love with poverty, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and he provides my need. I live in the projects. I got a roof over my head. I got some food to eat, thank God. And when I get ready to put on some decent clothes, he even blessed me with some extra. So those were things Jesus did. And that's what a true minister is supposed to do. You're supposed to give up all when you say you're going to follow him. But, I ain't supposed to be splashing my diamonds and all that other stuff. Those are not things that a minister do. There were a time I was in the world and I used to tell men right away what I wanted. Mates and, and all other kind of stuff if you want to be with me. But I'm truly a Christian. I'm truly God's servant. So that's what that's what a minister's supposed to do. Not Sunday morning disco.
Sunday morning disco is going to be the title of this episode because that's just hilarious. No, you know what? I went to I had to grow up in the church, and it was one of those things where, like, if you're forced into it, your natural reaction is to want to run away from it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've come to at least postulate, if not understand, is that matter can't be created or destroyed. That's an undeniable fact, which means that everything that was, is, and will be. And you find a commonality in most world religions around that concept. It's just the delivery is different. And when you there's always an aesthetic element of a religion and a flashy, showy, almost malevolent anti-aspect of that religion. And what people are drawn to way more often than not is the anti-aspect, the flashiness, diamonds, Cadillacs, nice house, fake plastic smile, slick back hair, fancy suit. And that has never been, it's always been emblematic to me of what's wrong with organized religion. But disorganized religion, I can roll with that, you know, all day I can roll with that. Kendra's been sitting here really patient and quiet. I would love for her to jump in, so please, dude, if you got anything, throw it at us.
I don't mean to hog her.
No, not at all. I was actually, I almost forgot that I was on because I was enthralled with what you were saying. So, so that was great. You know, I really appreciate so many things that you just said, because I do think I see that within the poor class and that division that's sown amongst all of us to be fighting, you know, each other and to not come together because we all agree on so many more things. And I know for me, I mean, I was also raised in the church, but I was also raised in just the acceptance of regular things, I think, in modern life, you know, like the TV and, you know, all of these things. And it wasn't until I was 17 and I took a Shakespeare class that that's when my whole world opened up, you know, and that was just learning English, really. And that's when I'd say I actually became a Christian, was because I learned that, you know, words have meaning. And that it's not about Sunday disco, and that it's, you know, and that virtue and hope and love and these things are tangible things that are there for everybody to have, you know, and also even what freedom was, you know, which isn't, you know, certainly there's an aspect to physical freedom that we all want, and we want our liberty. We don't want to end up in prison, but that really the real, you know, enslavement is to not make the right decisions, you know, to not that you're always going to make the right decisions, but you know what I mean, to go against what your, you know, what your nature is about. And that's really how I even came to be supporting Assange, was actually a Bible verse that was, you know, that I've been contemplating, which is like, pick up your cross and follow me, you know. And it's always just such a journey where it's like, well, you know what, that's probably not going to go much better for you than it did for God, you know. So be prepared for it. But it's much worse. And I just appreciate that, because I do think in a lot of ways, and rightly so, I mean, people hate Christianity because it is the Sunday disco, and it's a lot of words and not much action. And I think most reasonable people are really turned away from that. But I do think that there are people who really care. And I remember that's when I first was introduced to Malcolm X, because I didn't, you know, my public education was pretty crap about it, you know, just always told like, well, Malcolm X is just, you know, kind of the militant version of Dr. Martin Luther King, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I remember reading his biography, and, you know, when he comes to believe in God, when was in prison, you know, and that was like, it was like the same experience that I had. So I don't know. I always thought, I always just remember that. And I think it's great what you're doing. And honestly, I'm fine to sit here quiet the rest of the show. I'd rather hear more from you.
Well, did you know Malcolm's father was a minister?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, his father was,
in Oklahoma, right?
Yes, his father was a minister and an activist. That's how he got killed.
Wow.
Okay.
They killed him because he was a minister and activist even then.
Wow.
Yeah, so
my
you know, so much of my life have never been told.
Is the comedian Bill Hicks, who passed it in 1994. But he did a bit about where all of these religious leaders and all of these icons from the 1960s kind of had this same message where, hey, look, this world is just a ride. And what we really need to do is realize that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively, and there's no such thing as death, and this world is merely a construct that we've agreed upon. And he says, and then we kill those people. And that's the punchline to the bit, is that anyone who's not trying to sell the car, not trying to sell the watch, not trying to sell the house, is automatically pegged as you're marked for death now because you're not making people believe in the ride. I just needed to get a shout out to Bill Hicks into this show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, but you see, religion is a beautiful, beautiful experience. It's a beautiful thing, and it truly keep me on focus, really. But it keeps me constantly in the struggle. You know, my faith, because religion is just faith. It's just faith. You believe, and it's an inner experience. It's like I constantly used to try to explain to some of my friends how I became a minister, but it is an experience in me that happened to me that I really was never able to just show, because I got a friend who is in Detroit, and she knew me. Oh God, we've been friends now for almost 60 years. Oh yeah, it's been over 60 years. And she called me one day on the phone, and the phone said, this is Reverend Annie Chambers. Build your hopes on things eternal and hold on to God's unchanging hand. She said she hung up, bam, I done dialed the wrong number. She did it 3 times. And the last time she said, I just let the phone ring. And I answered, and she said, Annie? I said, yeah, she said, this is Marion. I said, hey, how you doing? And went on to, she said, wait a minute, who put this on your phone? I said, oh, I did. And she said, what in the hell is going on? Because it was always, she used to always try to keep me. I was the one who carried all the guns, who carried the razors, who cut the state troopers, who would shoot, who do all kinds. She said, when did that happen? And I kept trying to explain to Marion, this that came to me and came in, and I became minister. And even the day she called me, hey man, what the hell is you doing? That's the way she talked to me. We just like sisters. She said, but sometimes I just can't believe it. And some of the other women in the movement, some of my other, brothers, like I had a Panther brother. He said he was in prison. Eddie said, they said, Eddie got no thing. He said, come on, what is he doing now? Because, but religion, that's what makes me upset with ministers who use religion to oppress people. And that's what they do. They use religion to oppress. They hustle. They be hustling. As I told Al Sharpton, last summer, and I talked to him. I said, "You see, you better hustle all your damn life." So, I don't see difference. And I remember when Jesse wasn't a minister, also Jesse Jackson, who I still tell him he's a hustler, and they're flipping off for they people, and I tell them, and so you use religion. True ministers don't need anybody to put me on a pedestal because I'm already.
I'm catching your connection. Your connection just broke up pretty bad. I was catching about every fifth word there for a minute. I
It's
don't
hard
know.
to hear you, Steve. Hold on, let me see if I can fix this.
Jesus, Kevin.
Damn, Kevin.
Kevin is the nickname we gave to the NSA agent tasked to monitor the show in the chat here. We don't know what his real name is, but
There you
every
go.
time there's a tech glitch, we
try it
blame
now.
Kevin. Let's try it now. I can hear you just fine, Ian.
Okay.
Let me ask you because I didn't quite catch it. I heard you mention Jesse Jackson, and I've got
Yes.
I have my own personal opinions about Jesse Jackson, and they tend to fall in the FBI informant category.
Go ahead on. Go ahead on.
So look, Jesse Jackson has been allowed to get away with so much throughout his entire career. And every time he shows up, somebody else ends up getting arrested or somebody else ends up getting assassinated. And I'm not going to ask you to cast stones. I'm just going to ask you your opinion on that.
Well, Lord, good thing you didn't ask Jesse his opinion on me. He probably would tell you something like, she cusses me out every time she see me, and she tells me how no good I am, and I do, because he's been pimping from day one when he was a little college student. I can't say the words I used to say. I am a minister now. But Jesse he came to the men's movement pimping. You know, one of my other Panther brothers knew him from the very beginning and scoped it out. He said he's pimping. Like I said, Al never really pretended. Everybody know Al was, and I'm talking about Al Sharpton. Everybody knew Al was a pimp from the beginning. But Jesse have used his, like you say, his status within the movement and among his people, black people. He used to go to the car dealerships, car dealers, Ford, GM, all of them. And if they didn't give him what he want, he said, we'll call a boycott. He did that with Pepsi Cola also. And when, let me tell you, before this Four People's campaign, the last campaign that we had in Resurrection City, Jesse and some more of them were in meetings while we were sitting in that camp. And when they came in and tore up the camp, they knew about it. They were nowhere around. When they came and literally beat people, shot people, bulldozed off people, Jesse and them already know they was coming. They got there, they came at 4:30 in the morning. And Jesse and them, while we were in the mud and the rain and everything else, they were down there in the hotel. Comfortable room.
I covered extensively the siege of the Venezuelan embassy a year ago when that went down. I had a friend who was there at the scene, and he was in on the planning of getting Ajamu Baraka to come and deliver supplies, and Jesse Jackson attached himself to that.
Yes.
Within 24 hours, no, within 12 hours, everybody inside that room had been hauled out and arrested. And I was like, hey, if they would have just let Ajamu Baraka deliver the food, they probably could have got their food and been able to hold out in that embassy for a little while longer. But Jesse Jackson shows up and everybody gets arrested. And my friend was trying to like talk me out of that and saying that my observation was nonsense. And I'm like, I don't know, Al. It's not Al Sharpton, Al Suarez. Like, I don't know, Al. If the coincidences only go one way, are they really coincidences? And you didn't really have an answer.
I don't think they really coincidences. We've come, and when I say we, I'm talking about anybody that was, come out of especially the movement from the 60s up until maybe the 80s and 90s. We always felt that way about Jesse. Wherever you said it, it may be a day later, maybe 2 days later, but it always happened. So our thing was keep Jesse away as far as possible. Welfare Rights used to say it. Hell, well, no, we don't want Jesse. Jesse don't come. And he would come and try to show up and speak. The last time he was speaking at the Poor People's Campaign, the people got locked up in HUD. We got locked up. Okay? Didn't get locked up till Jesse showed up. So, and I said that. And they, some people have said what you said. They've said to me, "Oh, Annie, you just too hard on him. Don't don't be hard on the Reverend." I said, listen, a snake is a damn snake. I don't care because he's black. That's his mom and daddy decide to have a child. He's a damn snake. And that's what I told him. I tell him to his face. I tell him all the time, you're nothing but a no good damn pimping snake. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it like that.
Hey, look.
I don't mean to mess up your show, but that's the way I talk to Jesse.
Believe me, this is the cleanest this show has ever been right now.
Yeah, but that's
you're doing fine. You are.
Can I just say she really does talk to Jesse Jackson like that. That there was one time I think you were nice to him. And but the rest of the time, that's
because Margaret asked me to take a picture with him.
One time the Poor People's Campaign, didn't he try to put his arm around you?
Yeah.
And you called him the devil. You said, I don't let the devil touch me.
Yeah.
And Reverend Barber just looked at you like you had 3 heads.
Yeah.
So what do you think of Reverend Barber? Because I'm glad to see that there's a Poor People's Campaign resurgence. I'm hesitant to I'll lend my support to the concept, but I'm hesitant to throw my activism into it.
This is what I thought. Reverend Barber. I knew Reverend Liz long before I knew Reverend Barber. Okay. I knew Liz long before I knew Reverend Barber. First of all, the Poor People's Campaign got to get some poor people that they represent. Okay? They got to get some poor people. We had to do that with Dr. King too, by the way, The very first one, welfare rights, we had to do that with Dr. King because they don't know what Dr. King never was poor in his life. He was a middle class, one of the disco preacher's sons. Okay? He was a middle class kid, black, but and in the South, but they weren't poor. Let's face it. They weren't in poverty. Now, right now, I keep saying to the Poor People's Campaign, you gotta first get the poor people that you say you're representing. You gotta first talk to them. Mm-hmm. You gotta have them involved on the decision making. You can't make decisions for other people. You go get some upper class college students that's gonna organize poor people. You can't do that. You can't do that. Reverend Barbara, Reverend Liz, it takes money for everything. I understand that. But you ain't putting, you getting investment. And plus, I'm going to just come out and say it. They too damn close to the Democratic Party. They too close to the Democratic Party. So I asked him out. See, these are things I said to Reverend Bob. Are the Democratic Party funding the campaign? Is they contributing? No, that's what he said to me. No, but all the evidence. I mean, I'm one of those people that looks very clear. You know, you get all these big investors and stuff that wouldn't give a poor person a cup of water to
Yeah.
all of a sudden come and pour money into a campaign that says you are fighting for poor people. But this time for president, the election, they had the thing, and all they talked about was Bernie and the Democratic Party and all of this. Okay, so
Yeah.
if it's a campaign for poor people, hear the needs and issues of the poor. You know, hear the needs, hear the issues, and that's what I told Reverend Liz. Hear the needs. Welfare rights right now. We're thinking about how we're going to deal with the poor people's campaign.
Okay.
We're thinking about how we're going to deal with them. And some of us were really in the.
That was kind of the instinct that I had about it, and I was seeing that Reverend Barber was making the rounds on cable news, and that every time you see him, his robe gets shinier and it's a different color, and like these are all red flags that are going off in my head, and I don't see Reverend Annie Chambers on CNN. I don't see Reverend Annie Chambers on MSNBC. So it leads me to conclude that the Poor People's Campaign is more AstroTurf than grassroots. I'm a little bit, of course I'm going to be disappointed to hear that, because there is a just massive need to address the abject poverty in the richest country in the world. Nobody talks about we've got goddamn hookworm in the South now. And like it's I live in California, where the income disparity is just incredible. And to hear that, once a month or something, there's a Poor People's Campaign rally in Sacramento where the parking lots are full, but nobody's getting off of public transportation. That's a weird sign to me. It is.
Yeah. And I've often ended by this saying to them, when they said we doing good deeds. We doing good deeds. Only what you do for Christ will last. I'm not saying give me some food today. Educate me. See, because you can't oppress an educated person. That's the good thing about education. That's what I tell people. I may be poor, but I'm educated. I got my degrees. And they say, well, I say, I'm doing what you're supposed to do with them. I'm using my masters for what you supposed to use yours for, to bring up and educate our young and educate our people. You see, ministers are supposed to do that. I have sisters that got the degrees in this and degree in that, and I say, who you benefit? You go home and you close your damn door and brag about what you got in your house. You don't even come back to see your brother or sister, because it's a whole lot of us. And that whole lot, you don't come back and see, can you help one of us or help the man? So it is with these things that I'm saying that and it's by design. CNN and a whole lot of other places wouldn't have me, because I'm going to tell the truth. See, I don't have nice words. I don't have nice lies that I can tell. If you're a lie, I'm going to say you're a lie. Sometimes I say you're a damn lie. I say that in the pulpit. I say it sometime in meetings when they keep saying the same thing over again. Even my man, I say, Mr. Hold up, Jack, stop telling that damn lie. And that's the good part of it now, because I used to say some more stuff go with it, but I say is it now, you're telling a damn lie. And so These are things that I'm saying to any campaign that said they fighting for poor or anybody. You bring the poor along with you. How you gonna talk about working for the homeless and you don't have no homeless people? You go get them when they convenient for you. When you want to raise some money and stick them people face up on that camera and take those people. How you going? You can't do that. How you gonna get some poor people to come and talk about how poor poverty is and then dump them back where they was and go and continue to go somewhere else and raise money? We can't allow that. We cannot allow that. When you want to talk about the poor people's campaign, I'm gonna right now. Reverend Barbara and them have put out their statement, their demands that they sent into Congress. We asked them to attach on AFDC, public assistance for and caregivers, that all the mothers would be able to get a fair, decent income for their children. Know what Reverend Barbara said? Reverend Barbara said this. See, I don't say things I don't know. Reverend Barbara said, oh no, we don't have no room for that. Every time we ask to address real poor people's issues, there's no room. Well, then how in the hell is you representing me? Get the hell out of the way, because we gonna step on you too. And that's what I've said to welfare rights. We got to let him know. Oh no, we step all over the poor people's campaign. We're gonna call you out for what you is.
Okay. I just real quick. I'm having a fantastic time right now. I'm very, very, very stoked that this conversation is taking place, and in all objectivity, this is probably the best conversation happening on the internet right now. I wanted to ask, basically from the time that we met in Virginia till now, if there's an organization now that is emblematic of what Malcolm X towards the end of his life was trying to accomplish, is there a figure who's as I don't polarizing but still kind of moving in the right direction that you can think of? Is it Ian? Because if you tell me Ian, I'm gonna.
It okay. It's odd that you said that, because what do I say to you each day, Ian? I am grooming Ian each day. Each day. That this, I pull Ian into the welfare rights movement. Ian, even though he got a political aspect, I pulled him into it. I asked him, and each day he do more and more work. But if we look at who we got out here now, no. If we look at certain parts of the movement, if you say to me right now, who do you respect and see doing some real thing? The first person I would tell you is Ian. I have great respect for Ian, because I see Ian, he's willing to learn, he's willing to do a lot to make changes. The next person is Chelsea. I have great respect for Chelsea, because Chelsea didn't fold.
Nope.
And Chelsea stood strong. And through all of the hardship, all of the garbage that was put out about her, all the things that were said about her, all these things, all the things that were did to her, Chelsea has held on. So I have respect for her in that, and to that regard. We need more people like Chelsea, more people like Ian, more people, back in the day, I used to have a priest, he's gone, Father Witchland, who did everything he could in supporting and pushing me in the movement We had a nun, that Sister Irene. We still do have her. She's just retired now. But there were people that I looked at and respected, and Minister Malcolm. I have great. Have people didn't know that Betty, his wife, Betty Shabazz, she did a lot, and people never knew that. People never knew. Betty did a lot, and just like Dr. King's wife, Coretta, she did a lot, and people, and I teach children about people that have been in the movement and have contributed, like Brother Albert Taylor, who, as much everybody talk about Martin. You know who Martin Sounding Board was? Albert Taylor.
Okay.
Albert Taylor was Martin's great best buddy. They were college students together. But Albert was a post-college student working his way through college. But he's the man, Albert is the man that you see in the front of Martin's casket, that big tall, that's Brother Albert Taylor, who continued to fight until the day he died, who was still in the struggle, never got any credit. There were women, great speeches Dr. King made, but there were women who wrote those speeches that nobody knew about, okay? Bessie Smith, there were lots of us. Dr. King got, well, a lot of women, because I won't lie, I was not that close with Dr. King. I was Minister Malcolm's product, and because my thing was, you weren't gonna hit me, and I don't hit you back. So my brother let me know right away, that ain't, we did the scouting for the movement. Minister Malcolm sent us out, and we did the scouting. We were in those towns long before the marches. And sometimes even if we marched, we knew that there was a group of us that could not be in the core of the march. And then when I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've been all these things, but believe me, I have fought back. I won't lie about that. I fought back. The state troopers used to have ice picks that they done broke off and put in the back of their guns. They had razors. And that's what when you see them pushing the people back, that's what they will be using on us. And we've gotten scarred. My best friend got killed protecting me. So I tell people that we have got to look at this movement in a new direction now. I'm also was a great friend of Fidel Castro.
Okay.
And
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, Fidel said to us, and black people don't know the good stuff that Fidel did for the movement. Nobody knows that even in his little third world country, in his little small country, he sent a lot of support and a lot of aid. And the black, we Panthers know. But a lot of black people don't know the good stuff that Fidel did, even helping Martin, Minister Malcolm, all the stuff that he did to help and support the movement in this country of black people. And he used to say to us, he wanted us to talk about a revolution. But Minister Malcolm had the foresight to know that we didn't have enough arms, we didn't have enough support as black people and it was black and Jews at that time. Remember, the Jews was with us. There were Jews in our movement. There were lots of Jews in the black movement. But black people, Minister Malcolm used to say to us, we would start the revolution, but we wouldn't finish it. we will annihilate a whole nation, a whole generation of our children, a whole generation of our people. So we, when I look at people of the day, what's that basketball player? The young man that they done took everything. What's his name? Ian.
You mean Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah.
The football player.
He's I thought he was a basketball player.
Kaepernick's a football
player. That wouldn't that kneel.
Yeah, that's Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That took courage. That was a stand. That took courage. It was just like the Olympic players when they gave the fist sign. See, we as people, and I'm talking about black, white, see, because poverty don't know no color. If you're poor, you're poor. There's no color for poverty. You understand? So if you're poor, you're poor. We as the nation now, people in this country, Americans, got to stand up. We got to stand up together and overturn this capitalist system. And that's my ministry. That is my ministry, because that's what Jesus talked about. Mm-hmm. See, if you really read the Bible, you see what Jesus talked about. You see what Jesus was doing. Going to the grain house and feed the people. Not the king and the rich to haul all the grain and the food. Then these are things that we ministers need to be talking about, especially at a time like now. All of them done huddled up in their own house, because you can get the corrupt, you ain't even right with God. Yeah, you probably might get it. I hope you don't get it, but you might get it. You ain't doing nothing for the people. They should be out giving up food and everything for people. But they tell you how to send your tithes and offerings to the church. They got to wait for you to do that, but they ain't got to wait to get to you to give you no support. I don't want to hear that damn word you say. I don't want to hear one damn word. You scared because you know you ain't right. You ain't doing what you're supposed to do. Ministers should be out in the street. We protected by the blood. When people said to me, lay down and rest and rest and rest, I said, that's what happened. I rest too much. I got the pneumonia. And I just had a talk with God. And then I said, but I got to get up out of here because I can't do nothing in this hospital. So the people was telling me they didn't have nothing to eat, and I'm laying there in the bed. I had to get up. And that's what ministers, see, when you're a minister, you're supposed to be a little closer, so close to God. Now, if you're that close to, he ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. But when you don't believe, see, all they talking about, one minister got on there and said, put your tithes and offerings through the meal slot. He gonna come pick that money up though, ain't he? Put your tithes and offerings, gonna come pick that money up. But he gonna pick that up. One minister said you can PayPal it. What kind of, all that kind of junk, that's terrible. They figuring out a way for you to pay your dues and tithes and stuff. But then, there ain't a way to help you or to support you. So see, them Sunday morning disco preachers they all going to hell anyway. So, they're on their way to hell if they don't repent. They're on their way to hell, but that's what I see out here now. So we don't really have nobody that we can really point to and say that they fighting for the masses, and I'm going to do my part, my little part, and whatever, resources, strength that he give me, I'm going to use it. My daughter got mad one time because they didn't give me an award for something. I said, what I want a piece of paper for? That ain't worth me wiping my butt on. I don't need that piece of paper to say I did something. I got the reward. The people got the service. That was my reward. I rejoice when I can do something to help somebody, you know? So that, you know, we don't have nobody really. I don't see nobody.
I'm gonna
And I didn't,
suggest a song. There's a old Texas singer songwriter named Ray Wiley Hubbard who's written a ton of stuff, and he's got a song called "Conversation with the Devil" that I think you would get a huge kick out of. I can't play it right now because they'll take my show away because it's copyrighted. But I highly suggest, like, make sure Ian writes that down. Ray Wiley Hubbard, "Conversation with the Devil."
You got it.
It's kind of underscoring a lot of what you're talking about, especially because while the devil's giving Ray a tour of hell, he points over to where all of the disco preachers are and the televangelists are, and yeah, you just got to hear it. Castro. I kind of want to circle back to Fidel Castro, because right now we've seen, although the U.S. media doesn't cover it, it shows up at least on social media that Cuba has sent out like 60 to 80,000 doctors to various countries, and that over the last several decades, Cuba's #1 export besides shortstops is doctors, and I like the aspect that draws me to more anarchist left thinking, or like left libertarian thinking, or whatever you want to call it. I know Ian's got a very clever phrase for it that I'm not going to repeat. Has kind of been what you were talking about in terms of my reward is the service that I can do for somebody else. That's sort of the exact, it's the exact same approach that I see in anarcho-socialism, or just radicalism in general, that isn't couched by these weird authoritarian rules that I see all too often among the progressive, section of Democrats, or the Bernie-crats, or whatever you want to say. There was a guy named Matt Stoller who's kind of a piece of shit in his own right, but made a really, really cogent argument on Jimmy Dore's show about Bernie grandstanding for unemployment workers to be able to get assistance in this $6 trillion bank giveaway that they just passed, where some of us might see a $1,200 check. Unemployed people might be able to go ahead and file a claim, but all of it was already decided before Bernie went on camera to make this big arm-waving speech. And he called the Democratic Socialists of America and left progressives childish authoritarians, or it's a movement. It's a childish movement of authoritarian children who are afraid of everything. And I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. And it's one of those things where the Democratic Party, I think you even had an article or something about it, but why it was time to go green, because the Democratic Party had left, I guess, people in general way, way, way far behind. And I have a point to this, I promise, I do. Sometimes I start and I go many different directions, but I do always try and reel myself back in. The point is, if there is a point, the reward that we get from service is something that we're taught is never enough. And I want to know more ways to kind of shake people into that awareness. without actually having to physically shake them, of course, because Slow News Day and Steve Boykin personally do not condone violence. Kevin,
get that in.
gotta make sure the disclaimers go out. When you're trying to relay this message, especially to your own family, because you had mentioned your daughter was upset you didn't get an award, how do you get that across? Do you just hope that what you're doing eventually works its way into because we're running out of time, Reverend Annie, and it's not that I personally fear death. I don't. Already accepted that. I've died twice. I was cool with it both times. But I do kind of like the idea of a collective ascension towards a sustainable future. And I'm just sort of wondering, like, what are the effective ways of communicating that?
Well, you see, there is no one effective way. There is no, sometimes it has to be a reality, right? Let me give you an example. I'm the grandmother of 308, 87, 88 grandchildren right now.
You what now?
That I got. But one of them in prison.
That's the National Football League. You're aware of that, right?
Well, you have 25 children, so it keeps multiplying. My sister called them the baby kids. They don't die. They just keep multiplying. They keep keep going and on and on. But one of my grandsons who I kept, all his life I used to try to get him to see things a different way, and he kept getting in the gangs and all the other stuff, and you say this is everybody should say it's hopeless, but right now he's doing great work. He's in prison, but he's doing great work. He's educating other inmates, especially younger inmates, and he's ministering to them, because you don't have to be a minister, preacher with license to be a minister. But the reality came to him once he got locked up. He got 50 some years, and he got locked up, and he said, all I could think about, Grandma, was the way you used to grab me and talk to me, and I do believe in punishment, though. I do got a nice stick, and I got a belt, and I do use it, even till the day. I used them on my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and my great-great-grandchildren. He said, I remember when you used to come out on that corner and take that stick and beat me and everything, and I'd take off running, and then I used to say, I wish that old woman go somewhere. He said, but I always could depend on you if, I was hungry or something, and you would talk to me. And now he's teaching other inmates that come in who can't write and read, or to have poor, educational experience, because he was bright child. He was well beyond his grades and stuff in school. He just got with that was his thing. So sometimes it have to hit you like that. I have another grandson who was habituous drinker. He wasn't a drug addict, he just a drunk. And I used to get him all the time about being drunk and, not taking care of himself. And now he talked to me and told me, he said, Grandma, one day I was just so drunk I couldn't even get up off the ground. And he said, I just fell. And see, I've used the Bible, have showed me many things, and I use the Bible verses to show them. sometimes this is what have to happen to you. Sometimes people do have to get back up against the wall before they can come out. It's just like people all around me now. I told them, I said, no, if we do anything, we're gonna do it as a whole community. I'm not gonna be the one out in front. I'll be with you, but that's what we have to do. Some people have to get to that point. And people are seeing it now, because when you can't even buy you a bottle of water, that's kind of bad.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of bad. When women can't get their personal hygiene stuff, which these are things I'm being asked for, y'all. That's kind of bad,
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have, you got to put I just I didn't have no more Pampers, so I gave the lady some pillowcases to put on her baby butt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I used to do it. I used to have to do it for my children. Didn't have Pampers then. I don't got mad. Then I got rid of diapers. I said wash them out once wash them and reuse them. But when you have to do things like that, then you get the real light. See, they are seeing real what it's really like. See, the one thing about the rich and the people in power is that they will just give you enough to assist on, just like they did the slaves. Just give them enough. Just give them a little bit, let them exist. But when you want to live, then you change. I'm sitting here in the project, but I'm telling you, I'm living. Cause I got a nice dinner in there I can eat. You understand? I got a nice big bed I can go to sleep in. And so I tell people that. I say, when you want to exist, this is what happens. These are all the little social programs that they throw at you. But when you want to live, you want your child educated, you want education, you want to be able to have a decent home, you want to have all these things, then you'll stand up and fight. And that's what people are doing now. People are seeing it more and more. We just got to watch the shysters, like some of the people we just talked about. They will come in and use that, okay?
Yeah, I had to learn the hard way.
Watch the shysters.
I did. I learned the very hard way. And my grandmother was from the you go outside and you cut your own switch. Don't make me go cut one for you. And she was also the best shot in our family. She grew up in Southwest Texas. Her dad worked on an oil ranch. Like, she could shoot the wings off a gnat at 100 yards.
All right.
Very impressive woman. I'm getting kind of a similar vibe from you right now. There's a level of comfortability, at least, and familiarity. I've been locked up, all that kind of shit. But I'm about to turn 42. I was talking to my mom yesterday. She was talking about when they came home from the hospital with me, I slept in a dresser drawer for the first 6 weeks until they could afford a crib. Like,
right.
And I guess what the reason that we met really is because we were trying to get people to become more aware of what the government does, I guess, not just to people, but to people who need to merely exist, or who are trying to merely exist. And we made a lot of noise. I actually think that whole week was incredibly successful in terms of where we were going with bringing people into a post-partisan conversation. Because I genuinely believe that if we can get people to agree in a post-partisan manner on something as simple and vital as free speech, then, and free and accurate flow of information, then we can have a conversation about policy. We can have a conversation about the welfare state. We can have a conversation about, should the government even exist? But we have to be able to have this unspun, free-flowing source of information that allows us to form a complete picture about the world around us. And right now, we're being told to stay in our homes. We're being told that, we're being sold fear porn every single day from our media and our government. They're all reading off of the same script. You go and listen to different governors, different press conferences. They're all saying the exact same thing and using the exact same phrases. And then now we find out that the Democratic Party is honestly really considering switching Joe Biden for Andrew Cuomo. And that people are just supposed to, like, I don't know, accept this, because what I'm trying to get at is that we've been given a toolkit right now with these stay-at-home shelter-in-place orders to successfully pull off an at-home general strike. And so I'm going to ask if the People's Power Assembly will call for one. Is that something that you could put forth to the rest of the PPA, that we call for an at-home peaceful general strike? There's no more, there's no way to break up a protest if the protest is happening simultaneously on everybody's living room.
Right.
Well, this is Ian. I don't want to speak for the entire PPA. I've definitely echoed that idea in some of my tweets. I know that the PPA had held a very large conference yesterday with people from all around the country, and I think it's on their Facebook page. If you look up People's Power Assembly in Baltimore, you can catch it. We are supporting a lot of different strikes that are going on individually, so I don't see why we wouldn't support a general strike. We are having a meeting today, and I will bring this up personally.
Kick ass. I know Kendra's got to go and she's got to get out of here. Kendra, thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of this.
It's so good to see you again.
Let people know. Let people know what's going on with Action for Assange Denver right now, because we're kind of in like a limbo period. Are you still able to, like, hold Zoom meetings, shit like that? We got and let people know where they can find you, and just, thanks for jumping on short notice. I was running around like crazy last night trying to get people onto the show because I had a guest bail on me at the last minute. So this is like fucking Christmas.
No, it's great. Thanks for having me on. It's nice that I actually even wore my t-shirt for the day. I'm like, sweet, I know what I'm wearing today. Yeah, so here in Denver, we had a meeting, a phone call like a week and a half ago. And so what came from that was just, actions that we can take right now. We're trying to get like a Google group together so people can share information a little bit more. I keep our Twitter account pretty up to date. Oops, sorry. That is at DNVFreeJA, and that's us on Twitter. And then our Proton Mail is Denver Action, 2 Free JA at protonmail.com. But so what we're trying to do is just take part of these like online campaigns, for instance, join in what you guys are doing on Thursdays to be, just really encouraging people to please call your congressmen, please call your senators. There's just a new campaign that came out on Twitter for the US, a hashtag, which is Don't Kill Assange USA. So if people can start using that to tweet to their congressman, whoever, start spreading the word, with this COVID in prisons, whatever this virus is, Assange is at great risk. They've already had that, one case in Belmarsh with 100 people gone there. So just trying to get the word out as much as we can. There will be a Free the Truth event that we're going to start promoting as well. So yeah, just trying to do as much as we can. I have people, everybody's writing their own little thing to me right now, you know, about why they're supporting Assange. And I'm trying to put that into, you know, like an op-ed piece. I made connections with someone in the Rocky Mountain Peace and Justice Center, and they were actually able to get a meeting with their congressperson about Assange. So really, honestly, that's what we're trying to do. There's so much at stake right now. And like you guys were just talking about, you know, where people are really going to realize that they're not free. You know, the definition of a free person is someone who works, rests, and has leisure time. And really, you know, and leisure time is that contemplation of the good. And most people, we're all wage slaves. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming down on people. And we're really trying to make sure that Assange doesn't get, and the free press doesn't get, you know, lost in the mix of all of our other civil liberties, which are now going to be going down the drain because you know, free press is for the large part gone. So that's what we're trying to do. Just as much, we're up for any campaigns that you guys are doing, trying to push that word out to everybody, and just hopefully get people still active, even within I just honestly the immense fear that a lot of people are feeling. You know, just to give a plug to what Andrew's done, you know, I've spread that out a little bit, and I'm hoping that we get actually Reverend Chambers, I'm thinking it'd be a nice thing to push through to the churches, you know, this community gardening, because we have people who are going to be hungry soon. And that's a frightful thing. So anyway, sorry. Thank you.
Real quick, can I ask you a question? Because it would be the ultimate irony if that congressperson was Emily Sirota, because David Sirota is the communications director for Bernie Sanders' campaign, and Bernie won't say Julian's name out loud, and neither will independent journalist David Sirota.
You know, I'm not sure. It's whoever is in Boulder, so I'd have to check that district to see who.
Oh, I think they're I think the Sirotas are more oh god damn it, what's the name of that fucking Cherry Creek?
Okay, yeah, Cherry Creek, like Glendale area.
Yeah, I think they're more like that sort of real estate district, as you know. At any rate, dude, thank you so much for coming on. And then let me know how the Free the Truth events are progressing, and I'll have you back on to promote that.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks, Steve, and thank you. So good to see you, Reverend Annie and Ian, and take care.
Good to see you too.
And speaking of like trying to you know, keep activism rolling during a lockdown, one of the things that we're doing with Action for Assange is a series of teach-ins, where we're basically going to start from the beginning of WikiLeaks and progress to, you know, Julian Assange is facing 175 years if he's extradited to the U.S. For publishing documents that embarrass the national security state. Like, essentially, that's what it comes down to. Right. So what we're hoping to do is get a hold of, you know, chapter leaders for various activist organizations, and then have them distribute the teach-ins to the people that are on their email list. So hopefully that's something that we can coordinate on as these develop. Right. Do you get an opportunity to talk about what's happening with Julian Assange and what was happening with Chelsea Manning up until the point where finally not only did they release her, but they dropped the entire WikiLeaks 10-year-long grand jury? Is that something that you can find a way to work in? Because you have very, very different things going on. Do you have an opportunity to bring that up?
Yes. Yes, I do. But that's a part of the educational. See, because when you poll, the most thing people are doing is trying to figure out how to survive for the next day. But we need to be informed about what's going on around us and what's in the world. And that's the other thing about education. You see, when, you pick up the news, you listen, and of course news lies so much, but um, you're informed. But a lot of people didn't even know who Chelsea was, and when I started talking about it, and then they had their own little section of what had been said to them about her, okay, and about Julia. Said everybody had their own, little thing. Oh, that's the same thing was said about me back in the day. I was a part of the CLP, okay, Communist Labor Party. The man I call my godfather helped started, okay, Nelson Prairie, okay. But the thing was, in the church, everybody was poor in my father's church and stuff. They were, you know, Lord, you got a daughter that's a communist, and my daddy didn't want to respond. So I once it was said to me, I said, hell yeah, yeah, I'm a damn communist. You ain't got nothing. Why you ain't got nothing? Well, I'm a hard worker. I said, you've been working hard all your life. You're going to drop dead working hard. And you're still going to have just that little, you can't even afford a decent car. The one you got them broke down, and some of y'all walk to church with your bare feet and everything. And so once I explained to them why I was a communist, but what socialism was, they seen it in a different light. But they really didn't know, because again, if ignorance and people hold it in that box. So it is my job, people like me, to bring it to the attention of others and teach others and let them know what's going on around them in the world and how this is affecting you. Because certainly Chelsea and LaSalle, that was to benefit all of us. But because people didn't know it in my circles or didn't know the real true story, they didn't deal with it. They want to know why you out there demonstrating. You understand? Well, they went on with other junk that was put up and everything about Chelsea.
Well, why white people, not black people?
Yeah, why, he just pulled a white boy that want blah, blah, blah to become a little white. I said, it's some little black boys want to become little black girls too. So we ain't got nothing to do with all that. That's not what we dealing with. We dealing with, she did a lot to inform people of what's going on in this country, what's happening. See, we got to stop living in the box. So that's what I do. I talk and I teach and I tell young people why they should be in the demonstration.
Well, and
that's why they come.
Here's the point that I've always tried to get across is that the collateral murder video that she is responsible for leaking should be shown right before all of the military recruiters start coming into schools and neighborhoods, because we have a poverty draft. Since we don't have an official draft, there's even articles in military magazines about how they should recruit, and they should target. That's the words that they use in their own publications. Target low-income neighborhoods and target people without means. So if we are informed because we had Chelsea Manning, because we have WikiLeaks, and because we have the Afghan War Diaries. So the ability to know firsthand what's going to happen to you and what kind of system you're going in should you decide to join the military, the ability to learn it's there. The mechanisms to teach it are really, really easy. There's one website, you go to it, you click on it, and there it is. Like there's no ladder you have to climb. There's no, you get less at the back of the class than you do at the front of the class. You've got it right there in front of you, and the excuses to do it are, the excuses to not do it are only what you're talking yourself into. I had a point to this. I just got rambling. That'll happen from time to time on this show, by the way. It will. Ian knows. Ian's been on 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is we need to have a multifaceted, almost manifesto about what collateral murder really is, about what the Afghan war diaries really are. And I think that one of the biggest shames of the Obama administration was the death of the anti-war left. Because right now, we're still at war. We're goddamn Al-Qaeda was like, don't go commit jihad while there's COVID-19. Mike Pompeo was like, we need to bomb Iran. You know, like while we're out here and everybody else is at home, let's see what we can get away with. And again, as much as I think the time is right for an at-home general strike, and where there's a nationwide call for a rent strike beginning on April 1st, which is, by the way, my actual birthday. I was born on April Fool's Day. And if anybody wants to get me anything for my birthday, get me a rent strike. That's what I want. I already got the Vault 7 sweatshirt, so we're cool. Rent strike. That's what I want for my birthday.
Yeah,
jump in.
But you know, a lot of strikes gonna have to happen because people ain't got the money. Now, you see, people don't have not even a way to do the minimum wage jobs and all of that. And that little, what is it, $1,000 or whatever they were talking about, you might get it by the time it's some over with, if you get it, okay? You might get it by the beginning of next year if you get it. But right now, you know, the housing authority is saying to people, you must pay your rent, even though they say, show us a hardship and a disregard. I say, hell, I stay in a hardship all the month. You know, but that's what they say. We did come talk to your manager. Some of the coldest people in the world is the managers. And you know, people all over this country not going to have money to take care of their debts and their bills, okay? Their bills are not going to be taken care of. So, you know, we're going to have a whole lot of strikes. We're going to have rent strike, food strikes, every kind of, you know what I mean? We're going to have everything that people need to, that's why they bringing out the National Guard, and we might have our own people fighting us. Because they ain't, not only the National Guard, they'll bring out the Army and the Navy and anybody else they can when they think they losing their wealth. And believe me, they're going to lose some wealth over this. They're going to lose some wealth.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we gave a $6 trillion bailout.
Yeah.
So the richest people on the planet wouldn't hurt as bad while the rest of us are waiting for maybe a $1,200 check one time.
Which people rent is, lots of people rent is more than the check.
Yeah.
Lots of people I know.
Mine's close to double that. I mean, and granted, I live in one of the most expensive places in at least California. That's not by design, but it's one of those situations where you get stuck struggling every month because you're unable to save enough money to move. Moving is expensive, and most of the places that are cheap to live have fuck all for jobs, and it's, you know, trying to get out of a bad situation to go to a worse situation. Not that my situation is bad, it's just hard to live here. It's even harder to leave.
Yes, and it's That's it. That's the way things. Yeah, unless they change a lot, and I don't see as Minister Malcolm said, you only get what you organize to take.
Mm-hmm.
Organize yourself and take it, then you will get it. Because they ain't gonna give you a damn thing.
I was just gonna ask you if well, I was gonna ask what are like a couple of lessons or theories that Malcolm X gave to you personally that you could share to that will apply to what we're in right now. And
Right
you just
now,
hit one of them.
right now, the lessons that I learned from Minister Malcolm is that first of all, and he said this, um, people think I made it up, but I didn't. I got this lesson from Minister Malcolm. Poverty don't know any color. Poverty knows no color. He told me about poor white kids that he knew from where he came from, and which he had seen. Well, this and some of them were in better shape than he was, and he used to say that to us. Poverty don't know any color. Minister Malcolm understood a lot when he came back from Mecca. He understood a lot. He was first groomed that because the black stream, and he did go that way. But once he got his own enlightenment, he seen Muslims of all faith. I mean, Muslim of all colors and all nationalities, and he knew that. So Minister Malcolm um, taught us that we must always reach out to any individual, any human being that's in need, that we must care about any individual that's in need, that we must understand that this is a fellow brother or sister, and we must do. Minister Malcolm also let us know that you must stand up and you must demand respect from your enemy. That's why we didn't get killed in the movement. That's why we didn't get killed, because when we walked, we never walked under 12 strong. No one Muslim went out by itself. No two or three. We were always at least 12 of us. And he also taught us this. If I give you the power to kill me, because you can't have that, but we always was protected, brother. We would have died, but somebody else would have died with us. You can't get anything down on your knees but a prayer. Mm. And now you don't humble yourself to nothing but the most creator Allah. That's who you humble yourself to. And that's God. That's who you humble yourself to. Don't humble yourself to nobody else. And I don't. I never did. After that, I never did. He taught us that. And these are the things that I'm teaching and walking with now. I respect you and I demand respect from you. When I walk in the court, I'm going to respect the judge, but he can not disrespect me because I'm on his level. I'm as equal as he is. I'm a human being. I come with the same respect and love.
Oh, yeah.
So those are the things that we must teach right now to the young people, to all people, that we all in this together, and we cannot have a class. And that's what's happening. We have a tier of class. I hear all the politicians, who in the hell says anything about the Pope? Nobody. They talk about, even Bernie, they talk about, Damelo. Well, you only one paycheck away from being the Pope. And you Pope. If you're a working class person, I tell them, you are Pope. You're not rich, you're Pope. I tell some of my own family, you Pope. You just don't even know how poor you is until you know your money gone or you drop, or they got to do something. No, they don't got to do nothing. As Minister Malcolm say, you only get what you organize to take. And the masses is have to organize, and we have to take.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap up for the day. My 7-year-old's gonna burst back here at some point and strangle me if I don't finish this like geodesic dome box sport that I'm building with him. Thank you so much for this, Reverend Annie. This has been incredible. Thank you, Ian, for being there. Kendra would like to make sure that she gets thanked for popping in. Yeah, like I said, I was scrambling for to get a show in today. So yeah, this has been a fantastic gift. I know you and Ian have a radio show, and I would like for you to promote that right now so that people can tune in.
Well, actually,
are you still doing it?
Can you hear me? Yeah, things are changing so fast on the ground here that I think that we're gonna revive the older radio show that we normally do. And I do think we're going to have to start asking for donations too, because we're doing a lot of work here to get food to people who need it in Baltimore City, where the politicians have just not thought of any of this.
Right.
So if you go to schlakman.com, that's my website, SCHLAKMAN.com, you'll see the new podcast and the old podcast. Just keep tuned to that site because I think we're going to revive the old radio show pretty soon and give people regular reports. Because I just don't think, I think so people are just so terrified nationally and told to hunker down, but I think some of us understand that hunker down doesn't apply when you're poor.
Right.
You hunker down when you're poor and you got no food means you just sit there and die. Right. So I think there's another perspective to this that we desperately need to get out, and we're going to keep trying to get that out there.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's gonna do it for the show. I am putting out a lot of content while we're on lockdown. The show has received a just ridiculous amount of suppression over the last couple of weeks. Really, since the last time Ian was on, and we tried to tell everybody that stuff like winning at identity politics bingo is not worth your freedom.
Yeah.
So if you're supporting the show, please tell your goddamn friends about it, because I'm getting hit like crazy. There is more content going up on my Patreon than there has been in months and months and months. That is patreon.com/slownewsday. I'm Steve Poikinen. Thank you all for being a part of this today, and good luck to us all.